basically, the CTV Foundation stands for the Communion of True Vineyard Church. So this is a church charity, but we are not, we are basically trying to provide services regarding to mental health and domestic abuse to everyone, no matter what your religious background is, no matter what culture you come from, we are providing it to everyone. So that is the key mission, is to provide support, to also collaborate and to find innovative ways and innovative ideas in regarding to community and doing community funding. So the purpose is to collaborate, get more funding, and also provide help to the community. And this is around mental health, domestic violence, but we are trying to widen the scope. So there will be some outreach when it comes to food banks and things like that that we're looking at exploring. But for this main project, we are only focusing on domestic abuse and mental health. And I just want to let you know as well that we did get sponsorship. The sponsorship was from the National Lottery, so we do have some money to be able to do what we want to do. Saying that, the money that they provided us is only a small fraction of what we need in order to be able to widen the scope and really reach the people we want to reach. But this is what we are, this is what we're about, and this is our mission. And we have a lot of projects lined up for the whole year. And I will be talking to you about that soon as well. Ooh, what's going on? What's going on? It's not flickering. Okay. Wow, we're just going to have to do it without it for now. But this is just, okay, we're back. So this is just kind of just emphasizing what I've just said before. We're all about community. We're all about giving, providing support to the community. Creating a safe space for people to be able to express themselves, be who they want to be who they feel like they need to be, and also build a community of brown people that care like us as well, that can express themselves a little bit better. So our team, so you will see that there's a lot of us wearing these t-shirts. We have quite a big team. This is just a fraction of them. So these are the members. I don't want to really call out everyone's name, but we have Rue, who's the events manager. She is, where is she? She's doing her job over there. So hi Rue, thank you for coming. We have Connie as well, who is here. Hi, Connie, putting it over there, and she made it today, so thank you so much. We have Shavita, recruitment specialist and events manager, and also our DJ for today, and also our car opener today as well. So you're wearing a lot of hats, darling, but you're doing a good job. We're kind of recruiting for project managers, so if you know anyone who is interested, this is a voluntary position, so reach out to our recruitment specialist over there, Shavita. And then we have our social media specialist who is doing all the social media efforts right now. So thank you so much, Gary. Yeah, this is a bigger scope. This is a huge scope. So we have Olufemi, which is not here. She's a mental health specialist. We have Laura, who unfortunately is unable to attend as well. She's a mental health specialist. And we have Loretta, who will be presenting. She is also joining us as a mental health specialist as well. We have Lola, who's unfortunately not here as well, and she is part of the creative specialist team and also part of the events coordinator. We have Wale, who is, where are you? Over there, doing his job today. He's done a lot for us, so thank you. He's also the events coordinator. Primrose also, unfortunately, was not able to come, but she's also the mental health specialist. We have Rachel, who is, she's a social worker, and she's going to be providing us personal user advice services. So what that means is she'll be recommending people to come to our events or whatever we're putting on. And then we have Jude Lewis. Where are you? I'm here. Okay. Events coordinator. We have Comfort, who is our administrative. Roberta. She's our admin specialist and also events coordinator. She's been doing a good job today, so thank you so much. And then we have, how it works is that we have Rue, who's the manager, events manager for me, and it's kind of an umbrella, and they cover everyone who's event coordinator. And then we have Dwayne, who's also at a capacity as a mental health specialist over there, but he's also going to be presenting for us today, and he's wearing many hats as well, so I'll let him obviously go into further detail when it comes to your turn. So this is just about the goals and objectives. This is what we're trying to do for the rest of the year. This is our year plan. So we have this event which we're doing today, which is our face-to-face launch event. And then we are going to have a mental health event on Zoom or online. We're going to choose a platform. For those who are unable to attend today, we will have one next month. We will also have another mental health online Zoom as well in June. And then we're going to have our next face-to-face event, which will be more focused around domestic violence. Obviously, today's one is more about mental health, but the next one will be about domestic violence. Domestic violence survivors, should I say. And then we'll have a Zoom, which will be on domestic violence, and then we'll have a mental health workshop for parents and children. So this is going to be more around parents who have children that suffer from autism, or parents who just need a bit to identify key areas in terms of checking things, or ways of clues to knowing whether their child is got special needs, or even just mental health. Because I come from an African background, and I must say I'm able to express myself to my parents, but I know a lot of us don't really have that opportunity necessarily. So this is a great opportunity for our parents to come and really understand what we need, when it comes to discussing with us about mental health. And then we have the last, we have a mental health event online, which will be in November, and then we have our last event, which is going to be amazing. We're going to be celebrating all what we have done through the year. So I hope to see every single one of you there. Yeah. So I think we are going to have our first speaker. So Dwayne, you want to take the mic.
Right. Thank you all for having me here. It's a pleasure to see everyone. So, I'm Jerway McPherson. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Shape You Training and Consulting. We are a business development company specializing in leadership and management. But I've been a part of the fitness industry for a very long time. Professionally, I've been a part of the fitness industry for about 12 or 15 years. I run my own fitness gym in the Middle East as well. Since then, fitness is still profoundly part of my day-to-day routine, my day-to-day life. And as we're talking about mental health, I've probably experienced various levels of mental health challenges in my life, and fitness has been one of my go-to, and still one of my go-to. Because when you're a business owner, or you're driving your career, or you have some sort of purpose that you're driving for, there will be some form of mental challenges. Stress, depression, anxiety, overwhelm, and the list goes on. And those are some things we're going to talk about today. And I'm also going to give you a few hints and tips exactly how you can manage. And that's the key word. We're not here to fix mental health, because you can't fix it. You can only manage it. You can alleviate some of the pressures and the stresses that we have. But again, we can't fix it. Make sense? Yeah. Fantastic. This is new. Okay, so the importance of mental health. I'm assuming most of you here drive a car. And mental health is somewhat similar in the sense of your mental health, your mental stability, your mental resilience is the engine for everything that we're doing, for everything that we do, everything that we want to do. Okay? So if you're mentally in a sustainable place, if you're mentally in a fit place, if you're mentally healthy, then you can be, it's how you manage relationships with your friends, with your family members, relationship with yourself. Right? When we're in a mentally good place, that kind of relationship is more positive, and there's more momentum to achieving things. It also regulates our mood. When we're in a mentally healthy place, we can manage our mood. We're a bit more resilient when it comes to when we get angry, when we get frustrated, when we get tired, when we get overwhelmed, and all these different things that comes with life and the challenges that comes with life. Okay? So that's why mental health is important. Now, it's not just about mental health. It's about physical health. And in between that, which is not here, is emotional health. It's how we feel, how we process emotions, how we share emotions, right? What our triggers are and how do we manage, sustain those triggers? How much do we understand about those triggers, okay? So oftentimes, what we think about affects how we feel about ourselves. So if everyone here would close their eyes, think about something happy, think about something that puts you in a good mood. You might find yourself cracking a smile. You might find yourself, your heart rate might improve. You might find yourself, your posture might change, right? So what we think about, we act about, okay? But also, if we feel something, sometimes we can't see something, sometimes we don't understand something, but we can feel a certain type of way. And when we feel that certain type of way, it affects our body. When we're feeling low, we slouch, we hang about, we have a bad mood, we show it. When we're feeling low, we think low. Right? We think about more negative things. If we plant an orange seed, we get an orange tree. If we plant negative thoughts, then we act in a negative way. Okay? And it's all, and if you're in meditation, for example, they always talk about chakras. They always talk about those levels of chakras. This is what it is. It's mentally, it's physically, and emotionally. It all ties into one. And if we can find that equilibrium, if we can find that ultimate balance, that's essentially where we all want to be, okay? And I'll break down how we can find that balance. But first, we're going to attack some of the myths about mental health. The first myth is going to a therapist is a sign of weakness. No, it's not. It's a sign of strength. If I can admit to you that I have struggles, if I can admit to you that I have difficulties, then I'm a man, that I'm strong, I'm aware, I'm confident of my situation, I'm confident that I'm finding options, right? If I don't have the answers, I could ask you. If you don't have the answers, you can ask her, and she can ask him, and she can ask her, right? What that means is, I don't have the answers, but by asking, by going to someone, I'm creating a community around me of people that may help my situation, that may have the answers for me. Or they all might have a piece of the answer that I need that ultimately result in exactly where I need to be. This is something that we all need to normalize. Therapy should be normalized. Every single person can benefit from a good therapist, whatever level you're on. The highest performers still require therapists because there's still stressors, there's still difficulties, there's still challenges. Okay? You can tell when someone is suffering from mental health. Sometimes the happiest person in the room is going through the most challenges. Why? Because we're all programmed to be okay. If someone in this room is crying, oh my God, my life is terrible, and I say, hey, are you okay? I'm fine, I'm fine. That's the normal reaction. We're all fine because we're all afraid of showing vulnerability, right? We're all afraid of showing vulnerability. We don't know how. But then as soon as the door closes, we all break down and we suffer in silence. So can we normalize going to a therapist? Can we normalize understanding that sometimes we don't show our pain, but there are ways to tell when there's signs. And I'll show you some of those ways later on. Okay? When you develop mental health, it lasts forever. No, it don't. Mental health is like most things. You can trigger it, and it might spend some time, but if we learn how to manage it, if we learn how to be aware of it, if we learn how to identify it, if we learn how to ask for help, then it doesn't have to be forever. Okay? Mental health problems are uncommon. No, they're far too extremely common. And at any age, we can all struggle with mental health. At any age. In school, with your coursework, with your schoolwork, bullies, teachers, lack of confidence, figuring yourself out. Same thing in university. You're older now. Life is starting to take shape. You're starting to figure things out a little bit more. You're going to be a bit confused. Then you reach adulthood. And then all hell breaks loose. Work, friends, money, bills, kids! Yeah, that changes the whole ballgame. Alright, people suffering with mental health can't have a job. Sometimes your job is what caused you mental health in the first place. Let's just put that down, right? But sometimes people who try to struggle with mental health, what do? They bury themselves in their work. But they bury themselves in something that can sort of help them disassociate from their reality. Okay? So yes, we can have a job if we're struggling with various types of mental health. That's completely normal. But let's normalize seeking help first. Okay? Now, I'm pretty sure every single person in this room has went through every single one of these challenges before. Even if you don't have kids, I'm sure you had problems with your parents at some point in life. Probably still do. So, work-related stress. I don't think I need to go into detail. Right? Right. So you have your work-related stress, relationship stress, right? Financial stress, parenting stress, health stress, life changes, right? How do we deal with these things? We can talk about it, seek professional help, pray about it, meditate about it. All these things work. We can exercise it out. All these things work. But the fact is, these things are on a very repeated cycle. Every other day, every other month, every other year, you're going to have something with work, something with your kids or your parents, something with your relationship, something with your health, and the list goes on. It's on a repeated cycle. That's why I said we can't fix it. We can manage it. We can alleviate the pressure, but it never stops. Right? Even if it's not from your own house, we had COVID, and that affected everyone on an international level, on a global level. Then we have the economical downturn. Right? So sometimes even things outside our immediate scope can cause us various challenges. Because of what's happened so far, people laying people off work. Relationships are now more difficult because you're having financial stresses. The kids are picking up, you ain't got some money to pay what you need to pay for, you haven't been on vacation for a while. One thing can spread to all of these things. Okay? Now, the thing about mental challenges is, if we don't address it, it festers. It's like cancer. If it's there and we ignore it, if it's there and we try to run away from it, it just continues to grow. Right? If 1 minute you're stressed out because you don't have enough money, right? Then the next minute you're stressed out because you can't afford certain things. And the next minute you're stressed out because the person next to you is doing more than you're doing. And that affects you mentally, makes you overwhelmed. It reduces your confidence, it reduces your self-esteem. It starts to act on your body, right? And when those things goes unchecked, it turns into a disorder. And when it turns into a disorder, what that basically means is, it becomes a part of you. It becomes a part of your identity. It becomes a part of your everyday, right? Anxiety. Every day you're anxious, or you're triggered faster with anxiety. Or psychotic disorders. Sometimes we try to disassociate ourselves from what's going on, right? We have substance abuse, maybe drinking, smoking, or various other things just to take you away from where you are. Again, the list goes on. Eating disorders, mood disorders, personality disorders, cognitive development disorders. Your memory, your thinking, your mood, all gets displaced. Okay? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to avoid it becoming a disorder. But let's not forget, even if it becomes a disorder, there is a way back. A disorder just means that your cup is spilling over. It means it's been there too long. It means it's really affected you, and it's hard now to integrate normally as you would before. But with management, with teaching, with coaching, with mentorship, we can reverse it. Okay? Now, I did say there are signs and signals that we can pay attention to. You might find that you're either eating too much or you're not eating enough. That's one of those signs. Something's happened in your life that's caused you to not have an appetite or be turning too much to food. Or you might find that your sleep routine has massively changed. You're not sleeping that much or you're sleeping way too much. And again, these things can affect your body. If you're not sleeping, your body will break down because ideally, when you're resting, when you're sleeping, that's when your body gets a chance to we collaborate. I got 8 minutes. Mood swings, very common, right? Chronic low depression, when you just don't know why you're here. What is your purpose? Where are you going? What does life mean? Who do you belong to? Who would care, right? Those are some signs of depression. Hallucinations, again, that's a part of the disassociation, right? Unhealthy coping mechanisms and unhealthy emotional outbursts. Okay? What we can do, we can spot. If you're not sleeping or eating, if your mood keeps changing, if you're feeling low all the time, if you're seeing things or hearing things not there, these are small signs and signals. Now, fitness. Let's talk about how fitness can help you. Let's talk about how fitness helps me. The reason why I turn to fitness as much as I do, there are many coping mechanisms, but this one works well for me because I've found my place when it comes to how I exercise and how I work out. But it's all about setting intentions. That's one of the most important things I want you guys to remember today. Set your intentions. When you understand the purpose of what you're doing, it makes life a little bit easier on that journey. Okay? Now, fitness belongs to anyone. And what I love about fitness is it will never lie to you. If you put the work in, you will get the results. If you try hard, you will get the results. If you're lazy, you won't get the results. And you can't blame anyone. You can't blame the weights. They just do their job. You can only look at yourself in the mirror. And that's what I love about fitness. Right? But when I train, I set my intentions. Sometimes, I don't know, maybe I didn't get a contract that I was working for. Or maybe I lost a client. Or maybe this month I just ain't got the money. Right? I go to the gym and I pick some heavy stuff up and I drop it hard. That helps me sometimes. Or just do the reps. Now, what fitness is great for is when you exercise, your body releases certain hormones that makes you feel good. Right? And what I do is, whenever I feel unaccomplished, I go to the gym and I choose something. What am I going to do today to feel accomplished? Literally, sometimes I talk to my wife and like, I don't like today. I didn't do nothing. Nothing happened. I've been lazy around watching Netflix all day. I feel unaccomplished, and that's something that's very important to me. I like to accomplish things every day. So fitness, you can set small tasks that when you go and carry out those tasks, it makes you feel better about yourself. Make you feel better about your day. And like I said, when you plant positive thoughts in your head, positive feelings, we start to reflect positivity. So after you do a workout, you might just feel like, I want to go into my work. I want to go finish my book. I want to go make content. I want to go talk to my girl or my guy because we had a bad argument. You're feeling better. And when you feel better, you think better. When you think better, you act better. Clear? Now, fitness belongs to anyone at any age. There's not a set amount of workout that you need to do. There's not an amount of days or amount of hours for intensity. You do what feels good for you. Yoga, swimming, running, walking, all of that stuff work. As long as you set your intentions of what you want out of it. Now, to finish off, these are very simple things we can all start doing right now that can change the scope of how we think, change the scope of how we feel, so we can move in a better direction. Sleep better. Try to get more sleep. I'm not going to tell you gotta have 8 hours because I only sleep maybe 6 or 5. That works for me. Right? But as long as you feel rested, as long as you have some sort of routine, it helps. And a routine is very important. Have a daily routine. Whether you start your day with it or you end your day with it, that helps as well. Because once you go through that routine, you feel like you're on track. So have a routine. Drink water. Typically 2 liters is great, but just drink water. It helps to flush your system of certain toxins. When you're angry, when you're upset, when you're overwhelmed, your body also releases certain toxins. And when you're drinking, water helps to get that out. When you're exercising, you have oxygen going around your body. It helps you alleviate some of that pressure. Some of you right now, if you just breathe in and breathe out, you realize how much your shoulder drops. Because when we carry pressure, we carry it in our shoulders. And that's another thing I didn't mention. When I'm in the gym and I'm pushing that weight or lifting that weight, I just compare it to all the stuff that I go through in real life. When life is pressuring, when life is tough, it's just like carrying a weight in the gym. And some people think, why am I doing this? What is this about? What is the end result? How much does it? 3 minutes. Almost done. Right? Let's talk about nutrition. You don't need to eat rabbit food. You don't need to eat vegetables and all that boring stuff all day, every day. I have pizza every Friday, and I've been doing that for 10 years. That's 2 large pizzas. Right? Because I enjoy it. But there's a balance somewhere, right? There's always a balance somewhere. So eat what you enjoy. You just find that balance, and you'll be fine. Again, we manage stress. We don't try to fix it. We manage it. Find different ways to manage and to cope, right? And then if you're into alcohol or whatever that kind of stuff, or smoking, cut it down. Better yet, quit. You don't really need it, right? Finally, I was trying to judge my audience. Anyway, this is Google. This is Google. This is where you leave a review. So just scan that. Leave a nice 5-star only. We'll pass that around. Thank you very much, guys. And then I'm very active on LinkedIn. And as part of the CTV Foundation, anyone that want to have a conversation, that want to talk about mental stresses or business that you have planned or whatever you're going through, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. We can have a nice conversation, and we can go through it, and I can help you set a plan of where you want to go and how to achieve it. Because I've been through it all. I've been through various types of stresses, and I've helped a lot of other people, especially if you're an entrepreneur. It's extremely stressful, right? So that's it. Do we have any questions before we go? Nothing about mental health, nothing about fitness. If there's no question, I think I did a good job. I like that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was such a great presentation. Oh my gosh, I think my voice is long. That was amazing. Thank you, Deb. So our next speaker is Loretta.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Loretta, and I'm a psychotherapist. I've been working in the field of mental health for over 10 years across lifespan, going from young all the way to older adults. And just wanted to kind of build a bit more on the foundation that Zoe so nicely provided for us. Kind of thinking a bit more about mental health, what it means for us, how we can look after ourselves, and also how we can look after those around us as well. I'm just going to start with 2 questions. So I'm going to start with this one first, or 2 statements I should say. We have mental health is about the brain. Raise your hands for whoever agrees with this. Okay. And who doesn't agree? I guess everyone else. Does anyone want to say why? Who doesn't agree?
Oh, in terms of mental health is about the brain.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Could I give a justification?
Yes, you can.
Because I'm thinking, it's hormone, and then hormone is regulated. I'm trying to think,
Does anyone else want to share?
Okay, nothing.
Does anyone else want to share why it may be just about the brain or anything else?
I don't think it's just about the brain, because if you think about Dwayne's presentation, he also mentioned how you can have like external factors that can come into place to impact your mental health. So I feel like it's a lot more holistic than it just being the brain alone.
Absolutely. I'm going to be honest, it was a bit of a trick question. So mental health is partially about the brain. So we think about the psychological aspects, but then we also have other things that include mental health in terms of like our emotional well-being and also our social well-being as well. Then we have, if I'm functioning, it means I'm okay. Again, you might have had a little bit of a hint earlier. Raise your hands for those who agree with this. Oh, unanimous. That's really good. Yeah, that's absolutely right. When we think about functioning, I guess that when we think about function, I think of like survival. And all of us don't just want to survive, we want to thrive. And that's why mental health is so important and kind of thinking about things that will allow us to thrive and have really fulfilling lives. So I wanted to talk a bit more about the difference between mental health and mental illness. So when we talk about mental illness, just like we heard earlier, we're talking about diagnosis. So this is when we find that our thinking is impaired, the way we're kind of feeling, and also our behavior. So it's about that interaction and how it makes it very difficult for us to function day to day. So that's when we have clinical diagnoses like anxiety and depression, which we find that that's more common, but then we also have more severe and enduring presentations such as OCD, bipolar, on the extreme end of things, schizophrenia. That's what we kind of think about when we talk about mental illness. And kind of coming back to mental health is something that we all have, and it's all important for us to really foster good mental health. So just to kind of understand that about this a bit more, I'm going to use something called the stress bucket. So what we have here, I hope it's big enough for everyone to see. As you can see, we have a tap right here at the top, and then we have a release valve. And the bucket represents our resilience. All of us have our own bucket. It can be different sizes, but the idea is that the tap represents lots of different kind of stresses, as we heard about earlier, coming into our lives. And as you can see, if it's not released, it can fill up. And then if it continues to fill up, then it can overflow. And that's what we really try to focus on, ways that we can try to release some of this pressure. So here are some of the things that can feed into our bucket, cause us to feel quite stressed. So we have predisposing factors. These are things that make us more vulnerable. So it could be things like genetic factors, family history. It could be things such as the environment that we grew up in, trauma, kind of health conditions. And then later on in life, there could be things that we encounter such as major stresses. When we think of major stresses, it doesn't always have to be something that's negative. It could be things that are actually positive that also can cause us stress. So for example, we could be talking about having a baby, getting a promotion, moving house, planning a wedding. And then, of course, we also have some of those more negative life-changing factors as well, such as finances. We heard about COVID. We all know about the impact of that. Then we also kind of think about things such as, depending on the region, things like natural disasters. So things that really have a major significant impact on our lives. And then lastly, we have everyday stresses. I think a lot of people can relate to this. So these are things that could be quite difficult to navigate, but actually could be things that we might see as quite minor, and that's where the problem lies, because we might see them as quite trivial. These are the kind of things that can be a slow drip, but kind of thinking about the imagery of the bucket, it doesn't matter if it's a slow drip. If it's not released, it still can overflow. And that's why it's so important that we're aware of these as well. So it could be things like you've got here, social media, social pressures, work school pressure, we had about that as well. And then it could be, just day-to-day things like getting stuck in traffic, running late, things like this as well. So it's important that we also kind of pay attention to these type of stresses as well. So we want to think a bit about stress relief. So it's really good that we heard about the physical elements, but we also have, many other aspects that can help us to release some of this pent-up pressure in our body. So we have mental and emotional, social and lifestyle, but also professional support, which we also heard a little bit about. When we think about physical, of course we think of physical fitness, we think of sleep, we think of relaxation. We also kind of think of other factors such as diet, so these can be really important in helping us to manage our mental health. Then we also have mental and emotional. So that could be things such as being able to open up to those that we trust, people that we can confide in, but it could also kind of be things such as meditation, journaling, creativity, things that do give us an avenue to be able to release and be able to clear our mind. Then we have social and lifestyle. So social and lifestyle and people that we care about, it's so important that we invest in ourselves. And with that, sometimes that might mean like taking a step back, sometimes it might mean kind of drawing closer to those close to us as well. And then we have professional support. So that could, kind of depending on how we feel, that could be medication, thinking about kind of going down the medical route and thinking about getting in contact with like our GP. You also heard about therapy. I think many of us have seen how we're seeing the rise of therapy and how people are becoming more accepting of that, which is great. I really do want to emphasize that therapy isn't just limited to people who have a diagnosis, like when we talked about mental health versus mental illness earlier. Therapy can benefit us in so many different ways. It could be about building our confidence. It could be about thinking about ways that we can process a very difficult event that we might have experienced. But also, it could also be thinking about making a plan for the future, helping us with decision making. There's so many different ways that we can benefit from therapy beyond mental illness. That's another kind of aspect. So kind of thinking about all what you've heard so far today, I wanted to kind of talk through a scenario and kind of test your ability to be able to kind of spot signs in this scenario. Would anyone like to read? Yeah, come on. You see one there? I wouldn't be able to see one there.
Tiwa makes plans to meet her friend Paris for dinner on a Friday evening, something they've done regularly for months. But as the time draws near, Paris sends a text. Hey, I'm sorry, but I'm feeling off tonight. Can we take a rain check?
Yeah.
Session, and definitely a lot of takeaways from that. Well, I did have a question. So, when hormones and contributions they play in terms of mental health, can you just give us a bit of insight how why that is the case? So when I say hormones, I'm looking at stuff like, for example, what we were doing, or why is it that we just have a certain hormone that
Biological factors is one of those. And when we think about different ways that the body works, how I describe it. I think the lifting of our physical health can have a big impact, and it is about how we manage it. For some people, it's something that physical health, engaging some of those other factors that we talk about can play a big role, but for some people, medication is what would help in terms of rebalancing that. But there's a direct link definitely between our hormones and how that affects our mood.
Angry easier with higher levels, but some people deal with it differently. So this person have higher levels, they might get angry easier. This person might actually just fall into stress. This person might take it as overwhelmed. It just depends how we process it. The same thing with women, when they have higher levels of estrogen, it might make them more emotional. But it's just how you direct that emotion. Do you want to cry? Do you want to get sad? Do you shift it into something else? So it's really where you're placed in life a lot of the times, and your expectations and what you're experiencing, plus whatever level your hormones is on. But also, when you go through certain things, it raises or lowers your hormones, which means you react various ways. But it's also based on the situation and circumstance that's going on right now. How you react to this one right now, in the same place, you might react completely different later. So as she mentioned, it's a psychological thing based on you as an individual and how you process it, that kind of stuff.
So let's move on to the next slide. Anyone wanted to add to that or any questions? Wow, no? Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much for the speakers. It was amazing. We really appreciate you for coming out today and obviously doing this on a volunteering basis. So thank you so much. So before we move on to the next segment, which is the kind of the exciting part, because this is where like we're going to win some prizes and we're going to have some fun. We just wanted to have a 5-minute speech from the chair and co-chair, just that we can just be aware who they are and what they do. Mom and Dad?
Good evening, everyone. Wow. I like that reaction. Wow. I'm truly delighted and grateful for the success of this event. On behalf of the trustees and volunteers, I give thanks to the Lord Almighty, as well as to our esteemed elderly supporters and dedicated volunteers who made this day possible. Alongside our sponsor, which is National Lottery Fund, Lottery, without each and every one of you, this event could not have come to success. Please continue to keep the volunteers, the projects in prayers, those who have committed themselves to the project and the Church of God. As we officially launch this new initiative, may God bless and expand this mission and bless everybody for the future events. People will find healing, joy, and peace. While this charity finds its roots in the church, we are committed to serving and supporting everyone in need, regardless of our cultural or religious background. Our mission is one of compassion, unity, and care for all. Thank you all once again. We look forward to seeing you in the future. With heartfelt gratitude, I will say, thank everyone. Thank you, all the prayers, supporters, and everyone. God bless you.
Thank you, everyone that present today. We really appreciate your time. Time is money, time is everything. So for you to leave your house, to come here, to God with me, we really appreciate you. But what we want to achieve from what we did today is just like awareness. We want to know and make sure that people look at themselves. If you need help, please go for help. Don't wait until you become jellyfish. We are here to introduce ourselves to you. If you need help, get in contact with us. We have LinkedIn in the backing and diagonal that we can, even you can refer people to us. So we want to be our brother's keeper. As my wife says, no religion blockage. Every religion is accepted. Either Muslim, Christian, other religions. So you are welcome. And if you know that somebody need help, please, you can refer that person to us so we can link the person to the experts. Once again, thank you for coming. Thank you very much.
Sorry, that was my first time today. So, the rest